You're listening to The Gary Harris Show on Tide 100.9 in Tuscaloosa.
Aware of those dead trees and the fact that they could easily fall. Click TuscaloosaThread.com for more local news throughout the day. It's free. Don Hartley, Town Square Media, Tuscaloosa.
The Gary Harris Show. You see him host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, here we go, everybody. Welcome into the Gary Harris Show for a Friday, the 13th. Ooh, Friday, September 13th. Wyatt Fulton said next to me, I didn't even realize that until I just looked at my phone. It's a Friday the 13th. So everybody be on their P's and Q's so nothing bad happens to you. I'm Gary Harris, live from Innisfree Irish Pub right here in beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama on University Boulevard. You know where it's at. If you live in Tuscaloosa, you know where it's at. 1925 University Boulevard, close to downtown, close to the campus, just a great location. And they're not open yet. They won't open until 11. But like I said last week, if you want to swing by and come around to the side door, if you're here to hang out with me, we're probably going to let you in a little bit early. Now, you won't be able to eat and drink until 11 a.m. because the kitchen staff, the wait staff, all of that isn't working. But Wyatt will be coming live at 11 with T-Town Sports Daily as part of Fridays at the Free. And we will be open. Last week there was a nice line. I kid you not. There was a nice line of people waiting to get in for lunch as soon as the doors were open. I mean, they filled right up. I stayed and ate lunch with my pal Robbie Glenn from StrikerStrong.org, and it was a nice buzz in the building. Of course, it was a home game last week. I get that. And this week it's a road game. But still, Tuscaloosa is always happening on a Friday before game day in college football season, home or away. Or like next week, even with a bye. It's college football season. We're glad to be here. Chase Brumfeld's back in the studio, manning the controls and taking your phone calls on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline at 205-342-9904. We got a busy show today. I'm going to run it down for you here in just a second. Our guest list. Also, the fact that we're going to have our Bama football trivia contest presented by T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery, University Mall. We're going to do it at 10 o'clock. We're going to do it at 10 today, start off the second hour. And the prize that we're giving away is a signed Brody Coyle print, full-size color print, former Alabama quarterback who was so good for the Crimson Tide. And I got it out in the car. I should have brought it in here. But usually I try to get a picture and get it out on social media. But I was so busy last night at the TV station, I didn't have an opportunity to do that. But it's beautiful, trust me. And we'll play Bama football trivia for that at 10 o'clock. And we'll get somebody qualified. And then at the end of the show, we'll roll the electronic roulette wheel and give you the answer and get a winner. So we got that going up. But let me tell you about Innisfree Irish Pub again for the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 beginning at 11. Now, you can order off the main menu, too. I'm not saying that you can't. But the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3, I know Wyatt's been promoting it. I've been promoting it. I still run into people who don't realize it, don't think of Innisfree as meat and 3. And then when they come, they say, Gary, man, thanks for turning me on to Innisfree for lunch. The choices are unbelievable. They've got 6 or 7 meats plus a couple of specials each week, tons of vegetables, and a great homemade cobbler every week that is included as one of your sides. So you can get it as part of your meat and 3, all for one great price, and you can't beat it, so get by. All right, this hour of the Gary Harris Show being brought to you as always by Alabama Credit Union, member-owned and not-for-profit. It's just a better way of banking. I'm a member. You really should become a member, too, and find out all the advantages by going to alabamacu.com. That's alabamacu.com. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Some rules and restrictions do apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money. And put a little extra change in your pocket. All right, here's the lineup at 9:30. Jordan Harper, basketball recruiting analyst for Rivals.com. He is going to join us to talk about Alabama basketball recruiting. They got their first commit for 2025. Also put out an offer yesterday to a young man who is huge. He's 7'1". We're going to break down all the Alabama basketball recruiting, break away from football for just a little bit with that, with Jordan Harper, who does a great job. He's been with me before. And, again, he is the head basketball analyst for Rivals and Tide Illustrated. So he'll be with us at 9:30 this morning. Then at 10 o'clock, we are going to go out to Old Colony Golf Course and talk with John Gray, the director of golf. The Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic is underway. Now, yesterday was washed out because of the rain, but it's looking pretty good today. I mean, it's actually clearing up here. This is a women's professional tour event on the Epson Tour, which is the feeder tour for the LPGA Tour. Huge event. We're going to go out to Old Colony at 10 o'clock with John Gray, and he will tell us, what time they're going to get underway, what the plan is for the weekend, and how you can be you can be a fan because it's free. You can just go out there and watch some of this great women's professional golf. That's coming up at 10. Then at 10:30, it's the Auburn Report with Brett Pritchard. Of course, Auburn coming off that disappointing home loss to Cal. I mean, at Jordan-Hare Stadium, really kind of took the life out of that program just in 1 week. That's the thing about the season. I say it all the time, man. Everybody's 0-0. Nobody's got a loss. And then when the season starts, if you lose one early, especially at home, it can just suck the life out of your program. They should bounce back tomorrow against a bad New Mexico team. This is not the New Mexico State team that beat them last year. This New Mexico team under Bronco Mendenhall rebuilding, and they have gotten clocked in their first two games. And so we'll discuss that. Also, my SEC point spread predictions. Now, we documented here 8-1 the first week. Last week, 3-6-1. So I'm going to come back. And this week, every game, let's see. Every game I think that involves an SEC team this week, I've got them on the board. I haven't had every game the first week because some of them played FCS teams, so I haven't had them. And but we're going to have it this week. So we got a jam-packed show. Couple of notes before we get to. I know Bryce is on hold. Bryce, we're going to get to you in just a minute on the Pinnacle Park and North River Hotline. Last night, Dolphins and Bills down in Miami. Bills dominated the game, so let's be clear on that. Bills won the game and dominated Miami 31-10. But that is honestly a sidebar to the main story, which is Tua suffering another concussion in the third quarter. Out of that game, of course, this morning, all of the chatter, national sports shows is about Tua and whether or not he is going to retire. I think this is the third documented concussion. Maybe, I know it's at least three. Give Tua credit. He was he got a first down. They were down. On fourth down, he took off running. And, what's even more ironic about it was who hit him or he hit him. It was Damar Hamlin. And we know what happened to Damar Hamlin in that game against the Bengals a few years ago when he nearly lost his life, but came back to play. But Tua lowered his head, trying to just really get as many as he could, being a football player. I know everybody's saying slide and all that, but you know how it is. When you're playing the game, you're trying to win. And when he put his head down, it really was into the chest of Damar Hamlin, it looked like to me. It wasn't helmet to helmet, but it did snap his neck back some, and you could see immediately when he went down, he had the hands do curl up like they do. So he's in concussion protocol, obviously. We'll see what happens going forward, but that's a huge story. College football last night. Arizona State, which beat Mississippi State last week, went on the road to Texas State and pulled it out. 31-28 was not an easy win for them. And down in Mobile, did you see what happened down in Mobile? The South Alabama Jags under Major Applewhite, who is named for Major Ogilvy, former Alabama football player, grew up a huge Alabama fan. Alabama didn't recruit him. He went to Texas, had a nice career, but he came to Alabama with Nick Saban. He was actually, a lot of people don't remember this, he was actually Nick Saban's first offensive coordinator in 2007. Very young guy at that time, and has gone on to a nice coaching career, has been a head coach, and now is the head coach at South Alabama. He took over for Kane Wommack when Coach Wommack came to Alabama as the defensive coordinator. They were 0-2, but they played Northwestern State, which is coached by Blaine McCorkle, who I'm good friends with his dad, Sam, who was a longtime college and high school head coach. As well, and it's a tough job down at Northwestern State. 87. It was 52-10 at half. You just don't see that very often. And, you see teams get it up 50s and 60s, and then, I didn't half. I have to assume that they weren't trying to pile it on, but evidently Northwestern State's really, really bad. So interesting stuff there, but we're off and running live at the Free, Fridays at the Free, with the Gary Harris Show, followed by T-Town Sports Daily. All right, let's go ahead, Chase, and get to Bryce, because he's been on hold since before the show started. And I know Bryce made that trek yesterday to Macon, Georgia, to H&H Soul Food Restaurant and the Big House. Good morning, Bryce.
Good morning, Gary. Excellent place to eat. If you haven't never eat there, I would sure you put it on your bucket list.
I'm going to get over there at some point.
I had the meatloaf, and I had macaroni and cheese and tomatoes and okra. Delicious. They give you a lot of food.
Good.
Too. Yeah, I was really impressed with this place. And it was packed. It'd been raining, and I got there, it lit up, so I didn't get wet getting in and out of the car. But I had to, it wasn't easy for me to find a place to park because it was crowded, because I got there right at the morning.
Yeah, man. Well, did you get on over to the Big House as well?
I didn't. It was.
Oh, you didn't make it?
It started raining,
but
that is on my bucket list. I short of time, I was going to see my friend, which lives in Swainsboro, which is probably another hour and a half from Macon. And I ran out of time, because the time, we lost an hour because it's Eastern over there. But, I recommend it. It's good. I mean, it was pretty cool. They had all kind of pictures of the Allman Brothers, some other bands in that restaurant. Pretty classy place. It's definitely a bucket list deal, man.
Well, good.
And yeah, but are y'all?
Well, I know Larry's probably listening. He'll be glad to know you got by H&H and enjoyed that good food.
Yeah. Are y'all doing today?
Doing what now?
Are y'all picking the scores today, or are y'all doing a trivia?
Yeah, go ahead. I don't do a contest. I do the trivia instead, but Ryan does the contest. But yeah, anybody who wants to give their score, man, I love to hear it. What you got?
35-6.
35-6, Bama.
Yeah, the defense.
All right, I got it 35-14. So we're not too far apart there. So I hope it's. I hope when they're doing House of Pain going to the fourth quarter, jump around, that they're jumping around just because they're excited for the song and not for the game. I hope it's already decided by then. Maybe it will be.
Oh, and one thing real quick. I heard something yesterday. Drew and them were talking about it, but I didn't.
Okay.
I don't think you talked about it yesterday. Shannon Sharpville. Does that got legs?
Do what now?
The Shannon Sharpville. Does that have legs? Is it true?
Well, he had a situation. I mentioned it yesterday. We didn't go. He had a situation where he was with a lady friend.
I'm sorry, you did.
Yeah, and it got out on Instagram Live. You could hear the audio. Thankfully, the phone wasn't, on them, but you could hear them. And yeah, he seemed to be having relations with that lady. And I don't know if there's been a statement from ESPN in regards to anything. I assume he's still employed, but at first he tried to deny it and say he was hacked. And then when he saw that there was no way out, he just came out and tried to get out in front of it and just say, hey, I'm a healthy All-American male, which we get that. I still think, that's when you're a on-air talent for a national sports network, the national sports network, really, and something like that goes out, it's unfortunate. And I don't, but as of right now, at the same time, in this day and age, I don't think anybody really is shocked by anything anymore, so it may not be that big a deal.
That's true. Hey, now you said you could listen to you on an app on your TV station?
Yeah, you got to just go download the Tide 109 app. Just any at the App Store, or just type in Tide 109 app in Google, and it'll pop up. And you need to have that app on your phone. I figured you already had it, Bryce.
I'm talking about your TV app.
Oh, yeah, you can get, yep. Okay, yes. On the TV side, yes, sir. We've got an app now for TV as well. Same thing. Just Google WVUA 23 app, And absolutely, you can put it on your phone. You can watch all my sports shows and Tider Insider TV, Football Friday, all my local sportscasts. We cover Alabama a ton. Absolutely. So, yeah, put it right next to your Tide.
Yeah, that's what I want.
Absolutely.
I have the app. That's how I listen to you.
Yeah. We'll get the WVUA 23 app, too. Just I actually linked it a link to it on my Facebook, WVUA 23 Facebook page as well. You need to be following me there, and I put out you can get it. But but just Google WVUA 23 app. So, hey, got to hit the break, Bryce. Man, I'm glad you got by.
H&H. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Yes, sir. 9:17 here on the Gary Harris Show, live from Innisfree Irish Pub, downtown Tuscaloosa. And not open yet, but like I said, if you want to swing by and say hello, Wyatt's hanging out with me for a few more minutes. And Wyatt, I like to say I'm the busiest man in broadcasting, but Wyatt may be pushing me for that title. He is got something to Stillman this morning, and he's got to get back over here for his show. And I know last night I tuned into Martin Houston's high school preview at 6, and Wyatt was on the board for that. So always going, and I feel you. Thursday night's my late night at the TV station, so I try to stay to get ahead of Friday night for Football Friday. And last week I stayed at about 1 a.m. I got on out of there last night by about 11:45, but still, but I got a full day ahead of me when I get in. All right, before I hit the break, I do want to remind you the YMCA of Tuscaloosa has a no joining fee special all month long. The month of September, there's no joining fee. Just sign up, start your monthly dues, and become a member of the Y. So much there and available to you to help you reach your fitness goals, including personal training, which I'm a big advocate for, whether it's solo training or duo training with a friend or your significant other. 10% off all personal training packages this month at the YMCA of Tuscaloosa, downtown 2300 13th Street, YMCATuscaloosa.org, or give them a call, 205-345-9622. Phone lines are open on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904. I don't track the score predictions, but I'd certainly love to hear from you guys. So if you got a score prediction for Alabama football, give it to me here on the Gary Harris Show. We'll be right back after this.
As much as Innisfree has evolved, it will always be that place to escape and have a good time. Whether it's for a game day weekend, to reminisce on college days, or to create new memories, if you're looking for a good time, there's only one thing to do. Head to the Free at 1925 University Boulevard. And don't forget about the Lucky Lunch Meat and 3 special. Monday through Friday from 11 a.m. until 2 p.m., get a meat and 3 vegetables for just $8.49. Or for a lighter appetite, try the Lucky Lunch soup, salad, or sandwich combo. I'll see you at the Free. Tuscaloosa's Old Colony Golf Course is an 18-hole championship layout designed by 1976 U.S. Open champion Jerry Pate. Director of Golf John Gray and fitting specialist Bob Montgomery are PGA certified. Mike Shivitz is the head professional and director of the Tuscaloosa Junior Golf Program. Call today to secure a team.
No prescription RSV treatments. Check eligibility and schedule your RSV vaccine at vaxassist.com.
So where should we go next?
Sponsored by Pfizer.
Life doesn't wait for when your finances are in perfect order. It just happens. But no matter what surprises come your way, Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. They offer an easy application process and fast decisions so you can stay focused on feeling good about whatever life brings your way. Alabama Credit Union will be here to help make it affordable with great personal loans, mortgages, and auto loans. Alabama Credit Union, loans for real life. Visit alabamacu.com to learn more. Some rules and restrictions apply. See if you're eligible for membership, then join today and feel good about your money.
Since 2011, Billy's Sports Grill, located on Main Avenue in historic downtown Northport, has been serving their legendary signature chicken sandwich, award-winning wings, and handcrafted cocktails. Billy's is also the spot to watch all your favorite sporting events with big screen, high-definition televisions, both dining rooms, at the bar, and outside on the beautiful patio. Come by and say hello to Kim and Lisa, the Billy's Management Dream Team. Billy's, good food, good friends, and good time.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms are likely today and tonight. The high today 80, tonight's low 67. For tomorrow and Sunday, mostly cloudy, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms both days. Highs between 77 and 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
You're listening to the Gary Harris Show. For Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Didn't have my mic punched in, Chase. Sorry about that. Welcome back to the Gary Harris Show, part of Fridays at the Free, live here at Innisfree Irish Pub, the TGIF edition. We are rocking and rolling here on Tide 100.9 FM and 1230 AM WTBC. At 9:30, we got Jordan Harper, recruiting analyst for basketball recruiting analyst for Rivals and Tide Illustrated, talking Bama basketball recruiting. Of course, plenty of football discussion this morning. My point spread predictions coming up. Our Bama football trivia. Right now, we're jumping out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline. Larry the Music Man is with us. We had his segment on Wednesday, but he's checking in again after hearing Bryce got by H&H. Good morning, Larry.
Good morning, Gary. I don't want to overkill the music segment, but that does my heart good to hear Bryce made it to H&H, and it's everything you said it was. I usually get the fried chicken, and I end up with bread pudding for dessert. They do an awesome bread pudding. But
I love bread pudding. It's one of my favorite desserts.
Too, yeah. Gary, I wanted to take a minute, and I'll make it quick because I know you're busy. I wanted to touch two dots that go to Madison, Wisconsin. I played up there in 70 at Stevens Point and Madison, and I want to talk about that next week. But there's a connection from Macon to Memphis to Madison. It's not a good story. It's bad, but you know, Otis Redding was from Macon. Phil Walden managed him, and Otis had gotten so big, he bought a plane. And James Brown told him, I can't say what James said. He was colorful. He said, you blank, 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 you need a damn bigger plane. You're going to haul that band around. And anyway, he had gone to Memphis to finish up his next album, and his single hadn't even been mixed yet. They just laid the track down, and he walked in the office of the owner of Stax, president, and told him, I'll be seeing you soon. We'll come back and finish up some things. And he said he looked at Otis and said, Otis, you be careful. I've read this story over and over, and it's been documented on a DVD about Otis Redding. But he said he had a premonition that Otis wasn't coming back.
Lord
so
mercy.
Anyway, Otis was with the Barkays in. Booker T and the MGs had been his backup band, and they didn't want to go on the road anymore. So we hired the Barkays out of Memphis because they were younger and had horns. So they go to Madison, Wisconsin, and do a show in December. And they do a TV show that you can YouTube it. It's his last show, actually. And he had, after the show, he called his wife and said, go down to Macon Motors and get you a new car, you know. And boy, he was on fire, you know. He finally got to the top of the mountain, and that plane took off the next morning and crashed in Lake Monona up there at Madison. And the story to this is unique. The water was so cold, you can imagine in December up there. The divers couldn't get to the plane, and before they even found Otis's in the band, Steve, the president of Stax, called Steve Cropper, Booker T guitar player, Booker T and MG. He said, get to the studio and mix that record. It was Dock of the Bay. That was a premonition song anyway. I always thought, Steve, they hadn't even found Otis's body, and they were mixing Dock of the Bay, and that was his biggest hit, of course. And that story just gives me chills, and when I hear Wisconsin and Madison, that brings back all that tragedy there. What a great song. What a great singer that got put out in his prime. Anyway, I wanted to share that. And the Macon connection is J-Mo, J. Johnny Johnson, was Otis's drummer, the black drummer that would become the rest of the Allman Brothers band. He was Otis's drummer, and he didn't like to fly. That's why he quit. He said, Otis said, well, I got a plane. Jay Johnny said, I ain't flying. So
there's a lot of stories in music about the guys that didn't get on the plane. So it's
yes, sir. I'll tell some stories next week about Stevens Point, Wisconsin, and Madison. What we saw up there. I was only 17 years old. There's a funny story.
17.
We were up there in November and I won't tell the rest of it. But I just wanted to share that. And I think I gave you
so
my
much.
pick. 38-13
give
was
it to
my
me. Give it
pick.
to me again. Give it to me again.
38-13.
38-13, bam. All right, thank you, Larry.
All right, Gary. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it. All right, we're going to get to one more phone call before we hit the break. And speaking of Macon, Georgia, George joins us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Gary. Just a few things. I wasn't going to bring it up. I was going to wait till Wednesday, but since I heard Larry, I was wondering if he ever played at the Crazy Horse. It's on Morris Avenue in Birmingham. And I remember back in the day when we were in college, we'd go in there. Of course, we had a fake ID. And go in there and listen to the music. And I remember the Tams played there, and I think Gallery played there. A lot of local bands. And then on down past on Morris Avenue was the Showboat. And they would play a lot of music. And every once in a while, some of the guys from the Commodores would be there, and they'd ask me to come up there and sing, and that was kind of cool. I was going to see if Larry had any memories of
Well, I should have got you on. I should have got you on with him. I wasn't for sure if you wanted. And I'm at Innisfree, so I don't have direct connection with Chase. But Larry, if you're listening, call back in real quick and answer the question as to whether or not you played at the Crazy Horse in Birmingham. I just texted him. We got a minute here. If he'll calls back in, he can answer you because there's a very good chance that he did. Well, give me your thoughts while we're waiting Larry to call back in. What's your thoughts on the game?
Okay, well, I'm thinking 31-10. I think that we'll play well. I think I called you several months ago thinking that this year was going to be a really good year with us. But I think the young guys are doing good, but because they are young guys, they make mistakes, and I think that they're going to be cleared up. And it didn't surprise me that we made, last week those 2 or 3 times where the receiver broke loose. They were young, and they also played on South Florida very, very, very fast. Like you have said before, they're going to run pretty much what Tennessee's going to run, and I think that gives us a kind of a leg up and experience when that comes around. But I think, we're going to be good, and I'm thinking 31-10. And I think we got probably one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. I think we got good running backs. We do that offensive line just has to get some chemistry within itself. As we all know, offensive line is kind of a team within itself, and you really got to have teamwork and chemistry to know what the guard needs to know what the tackle is going to do, and vice versa. And I think they're going to get better. I'm high on this team. And for some reason, South Florida just knows how to play us.
Yeah, seems to be the case. Well, George, we didn't get Larry back on, but I got a text into him, and I'll find out if now here he is. He's back on. Can you punch him through, Chase, with George and I at the same time?
Yes, I can.
Larry, you on with us? Okay, Larry, go ahead, because George wanted to ask you about the Crazy Horse.
Yes, sir. I played there many times. That's interesting. I haven't heard that in a while. And I also played, he might being from Macon, I played the Crazy Bull up there many times. Many times. But, yes, sir.
Did you ever go to the Showboat?
Sure did.
I remember that was on down the road, like I was telling you.
Those places are memories, and they don't come around anymore. I'm telling you, Crazy Bull is about the closest thing they got left to that type of club. I don't know if you've ever been there in Macon. It's right downtown.
No, I don't live in Macon anymore, but when I was in college, do you remember Oak Street? It was a new place. They did country music and also grassroots music. And when they first opened that place up, a buddy of mine, he was the maitre d' and I was the bouncer. And I remember the guys, it was right across the street from the Crazy Horse, and a lot of those guys said, hey guys, once you're through here, come over there and we'll give you a free drink. And obviously when they closed, we ran over there to get that free drink. And I remember the
That's good stuff.
There. and I remember Gallery played there. And it was
Gallery had that. I think they were a one-hit wonder. It's so nice to be with you.
Yeah, that's a good song. If you're going to have a hit, have a big one. Yeah. Hey, guys, listen, I got to get to the break, man, but we had another impromptu music session here on the show. It's all good stuff, though, Bama football and music. So I got to get
man.
Thank you. Appreciate it, okay?
Thank you.
Talk to you guys.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Follow Tide 100.9 on Facebook today to watch our live shows, read the great articles, and interact with Bama fans today.
.936, welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. I'm live at Innisfree Irish Pub, part of Fridays at the Free. They don't open until 11 a.m., but we're getting ready. And I put out a pic on social media. When they've got the chairs still up and they just mopped the floor and the lights behind the bar, it is a beautiful, beautiful pic. If you go to my Twitter page at Gary Harris _WVUA, you can see it, or at my Facebook page, my personal Facebook page at Gary Harris, Gary L. Harris, but also Gary Harris WVUA 23. Follow me there. All right, we're going to jump back out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome in Jordan Harper, recruiting analyst for Rivals.com, Tide Illustrated for Bama basketball, and we've got some news to talk about this week in terms of basketball recruiting. Good morning, Jordan. How are you?
Good morning, Gary. I appreciate you having me on. How's it going?
You bet, man. Let's get to the first commitment for the 2025 class, Amari Allen. One of these guys that's versatile, 6'7", can play on the perimeter, can guard bigger guys, can guard out on the perimeter as well, can shoot the three, can get to the basket. Just a prototypical Alabama-type player. What can you tell us about this young man? And I know he plays up in Green Bay, Wisconsin. Ironic, so Alabama's playing football in Wisconsin tomorrow. But what do you know about Amari Allen?
Yeah, beat out Wisconsin for him, actually. So, yeah, first win for the week for Alabama over Wisconsin. So, yeah, he goes to high school about 2 hours, ironically, from where Nate Oates grew up in Watertown, Wisconsin. And he is like you said, a 6'7" wing. He has a frame to where he can really add on some pounds, and he can pass, dribble, and shoot. And that's really what Nate Oates requires of his wing guys. And based on watching him this past summer in the Adidas 3-Stripe Select, he reminds me a lot of Ryland Griffin, and he looks like a guy that can develop into that. And the thing is he's not going to be required to, produce right away, because Alabama's going to be very active in the transfer portal. They're going to have a great core coming back next year, assumingly. But Amari Allen's a guy that shot 41% this summer from three. He defends, like you said, he can defend multiple positions, and he can handle the ball. He's not going to be some team's primary ball handler. He's going to be more of a secondary, but you need guys out on the wing that can do that. That's one area that I felt like Ryland Griffin kind of fell off from, of not being a good enough ball handler to be able to not play out of the corner on the wing as a spot-up shooter. So he's a versatile guy that Nate Oates is going to have a lot of fun developing in the next year or so, and someone that I think could end up being a very productive role player.
I mentioned that he's kind of prototypical. Now, obviously, Coach Oates also wants rim protectors. He wants a point guard, but he wants a lot of these wing guys that he can play in different ways, right? I mean, he's going to have every Alabama basketball team. You're going to see a lot of these, let's say, 6'4" to 6'8" or 9 type guys that are versatile. That's a kind of a starting point for Alabama basketball, right?
It is. He runs a NBA style offense, and when you turn on an NBA game, you see a ton of guys that are that size with that skill set. I mean, Brandon Miller, Darion Reed, if he develops a shot, he's into that. Ryland Griffin, like I mentioned before. I mean, Nate Oates loves them because, one, they're versatile. Some of the guys, like Herb Jones, while he couldn't shoot the three, he handled the ball primarily for that team for a couple years. And you got guys that can defend multiple positions, and that's the hardest thing to find in basketball, are guys that can defend down and defend up and be adequate at it. So Amari's not a lockdown defender by any means, But he's not going to get blown by. He's not going to give up easy buckets. And he has the wingspan and the body type of a guy that can really develop into a solid defender.
You expect Alabama to recruit at the high level they are, but much like Nick Saban, Nate Oates also knows what he likes, and most of the time these are going to be highly recruited players because the guys that are really, really good, it's obvious to everybody. But he'll occasionally, find someone that maybe is a little bit off the radar, and that might be the course or the case here with Frederick Leo Curtis, who reported yesterday on his social media, on Twitter, that he received his first Division I offer from the University of Alabama. Now, this guy's 7'1". He's got an unbelievable body already. I mean, he's not skinny. He's put together, and when you watch just the clips of him, now granted, these are highlight clips, so they're going to be his best plays. That's what I always say about a highlight clip. That's why it's a highlight. But still, to have this kind of size and this type of athleticism, I'm a little surprised that this is his first D1 offer. But Alabama's out front here. Tell us about Curtis and how this came about.
Yeah, so Curtis is kind of really off the radar, like you mentioned. It's his first D1 offer, and that could be huge. Alabama was Colin Sexton's first D1 offer coming out of, I believe it was his sophomore or junior year, and he stuck true with his first offer. So we'll see if that happens with Frederick. But Frederick's a 7'1" guy. He's out of Iceland. He played in the Euro Championship this past season. He plays in the Iceland D1 League the past couple years, but he's a guy that can shoot it from three. It's hard to kind of evaluate the competition he plays at in Iceland, but I mean, he shot 42% from three on about 100 attempts the past couple years. So, I mean, he's a guy that obviously has the potential to be a stretch big, but you're going to look at him as a rim protector, like a more athletic, better shooting Charles Bediako type. He doesn't move great, but he does surprise with his agile and agility for his size, being so big. But you see clips of him taking the ball coast to coast and dunking and laying it in athletically. I mean, he surprises you. But it just depends on the competition that he's been playing at. Obviously, it's going to be a huge step up where he's at, and I think that's why coaches around the country are kind of hesitant on him. But I've learned to never doubt Nate Oates. When he offers someone, he thinks they're good enough to play for him. So I really believe Frederick is a guy that if Nate Oates wants him, then I believe that he could be a player.
Yeah, he's a guy, you talk about upside, he has got it, that's for sure. All right, before we wrap up the segment, what else is out there in regards to Alabama and offers and guys that they're trying to get recruited and committed?
Yeah, so you got obviously the number one player in the country, AJ DeBensta, who Preston Murphy, assistant coach for Alabama, was his AAU coach out on the West Coast, and he's a guy that is going to visit Alabama, I think, in a week or two. I think he's visiting for the Georgia game. Obviously, that visit could be huge. You got guys like Caleb Wilson, a 5-star, Malik Thomas, 5-star, that are really interested in Alabama. But I really think this might be a more low-key, get developmental guys type of class, just because they really went all in on Jasper Johnson, who was a Lexington legacy, and I really thought Alabama had him until, guys that on the Kentucky side probably up their offer a pretty good bit to keep Jasper in state. So losing Jasper Johnson, they have a backup option in Mikael Brown Jr., who I had a chance to sit down with a couple times and talk to. He's a 5-star guy, rated just about the same as Jasper on most recruiting sites. And outside of a few of those top guys, I could see this be kind of a low-key developmental type recruiting class, considering that college basketball may be moving towards a 15 scholarship limit. So that's just something to keep in mind, that they might just take a few developmental guys, and since they have so much money coming off the books with the rosters or the players that are leaving off the roster after this upcoming season, and just attack the transfer portal really hard.
All right, one more question. We'll turn you loose, Jordan, and that is, going to 15 scholarships, it looks like, the portal. I've said before, Nate Oates is just the perfect coach for the modern-day game. The style of play. He understands NIL, he understands the portal, and he was one of the first coaches, it seems to me, that recognized, you'd still like to develop guys, but the reality is you're going to be rolling your roster over every year, and you're also going to be trying to keep some guys through NIL. He was able to do it, obviously, with Sears and with Grant Nelson. He just gets it. He just seems to be, in terms of putting a roster together every year that's going to be competing in the top 10, he just seems like he's embraced it is what it is type of philosophy. I know a lot of coaches are still crying about it, but he just goes out there every year and regardless of what happened the year before, and puts out a quality roster for the next season. Would you agree with me on that he just is kind of the perfect coach for the modern day game?
He is, and he's young. He understands that crying about it or making a fuss about it is not going to change anything. And I feel like a lot of the older generation coaches didn't grasp that, and that's why you're seeing a lot of them leave the game during this era. But yeah, he's a guy that understands. He's really analytical. He understands the numbers. He understands the style of play that wins, and that style of play happens to be what most top-level high school recruits and college players want to play in. And he has it all, the whole package. He has a great personality. He has great coaches around him. And the one thing that he was lacking at Alabama was NIL support early on, and now he's got it. And he's just got a machine working in Tuscaloosa in college basketball. And that's why you're seeing high-level recruits when, Amari Allen said it's like they're a premier top program the past 4 or 5 years. And, I mean, they produce wins, they produce pros, they produce championships in the conference. Now they have a Final Four run. I mean, slowly building up to that end goal of winning the national championship. And if he stays long enough at Alabama, I really think that Nate Oates is going to win a national championship.
I do too. I'm right there with you. All right, Jordan, real quickly before you have to go, fill in the listeners on where they can find you.
Yeah, so you can find me on Twitter at HarperNation24. I'm on Tide Illustrated of the Rivals Network. Hop on over there. Tony Sakalis and those guys do a great job covering Alabama basketball, football, all sports around. And I have a Alabama basketball podcast called the Double Dribble Podcast on all podcast platforms. And I'm about to get back started with first practice starting in a couple weeks and get the season underway. And I'll be recording episodes weekly and then bi-weekly as every game starts going down. So go follow the podcast on whatever podcast platform you listen on.
Appreciate you.
Yep. Thank you, Gary. Pleasure as always.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jordan. All right, 9:48 here on the Gary Harris Show, coming to you live from Innisfree Irish Pub, University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. We're going to take a timeout. Phone lines are wide open in the next segment on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904. Remember, if you want to give us a call and talk some ball, we can do that. Or if you just want to call in and make your score prediction for Alabama and Wisconsin, we can do that as well. All right, also 10 o'clock, we're going to be interviewing John Gray, Director of Golf at Oak Colony, about the Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic. But that's when we'll also run our contest, our Bama football trivia contest presented by T-Town Menswear and T-Town Gallery in the University Mall. We're going to give away that beautiful autographed Brody Croyle print ready for framing. It is gorgeous, so that's coming up at 10. We'll be right back after this.
If you haven't already, you've got to try Tuscaloosa's unique breakfast, brunch, and lunch concept. Brick and Spoon, downtown Tuscaloosa, Timerson Square. It's fresh food with a Cajun flair featuring a full bar with build-your-own Bloody Marys and mimosas. Open daily, 7 a.m. until 2 p.m. Available for after.
Exciting than ever. It's time for the sports glory you deserve without breaking a sweat. The Sportsbook at Golden Moon Casino. Play the game.
Must be 21.
Los Tarascos has been serving Mexican favorites like burritos, fajitas, and quesadillas since 1999. Their new location is at 4100 Owen Parkway in Northport. And, of course, you can find Los Tarascos in Tuscaloosa at 110 Skyland Boulevard. The bar areas feature big screen television so you can enjoy your favorite sporting events. Los Tarascos features daily happy
280 in Birmingham. Plus, don't miss our grand opening celebration Friday, October the 11th through Sunday, October 13th. And check us out at academy.com with free shipping on purchases over $25.
Covering University of Alabama sports, as well as the national and local scene as well. The Gary Harris Show, only on Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, Friday I'm in Love by The Cure, our first hour getaway song. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, 9:52. We're going to jump back out on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome in Philip. Good morning, Philip.
Good morning, Gary. Hey,
you know, Bryce has been giving you grief about you saying Auburn was going to be really good. So just so if you haven't heard him, he's been every time he's called in, he's wanted you to fess up that you were wrong on Auburn. I said, well, it's just one loss. I mean, they still got a chance to have a good season. Just saying.
Yeah. Oh yeah, well, you know, I kind of tend to make my predictions early, but
I know you do it before.
That's what the fun is, you know. I do it in the spring when we got a chance to talk, and but anyway, what are you looking for tomorrow, Gary? I've got 3 games, and that I think are real danger games. I think Alabama's got to be careful. I think tomorrow's going to be a tough, close game all the way. But the 3 games I think could be real danger games. Notre Dame at Purdue. Oregon has not blown out everybody, and they got to go to Oregon State. I definitely think LSU's got to be careful. They've got a lot on the line. And I just wondered what you thought about that.
All right, Notre Dame and Purdue. Those rivalry games are always tricky. I would say this. I think with what happened in Notre Dame last week, and I still think they're better than Purdue, and you lose to Northern Illinois. I mean, the focus this week, I'm sure, like Coach Saban used to say, you hate to have a loss to get somebody's attention, but sometimes that's the way it is. I think Notre Dame will be ready. My feeling is they'll handle that. LSU, you got to watch it. The problem is with South Carolina, are we going to see the South Carolina that played Old Dominion at home, or are we going to see the South Carolina that rode over Kentucky and Lexington? I still think from a talent standpoint, LSU is better. I'm sitting here looking at my SEC picks, point spread picks that I'm giving in the last segment of the show, and I still have not made a pick on LSU and South Carolina. That's how torn I am over that one, LSU -7. So I'm with you there. That's going to be a hard game to call. And what was the third one, Philip?
Oregon State versus Oregon.
Yeah, another rivalry game. Oregon State usually plays Oregon tough, but they just don't usually have enough to get over the hump. So, do you know the line in that game? Or is it Corvallis or Eugene?
It's at Oregon State.
Okay. I definitely think Oregon State's capable of giving them a game. Of course, they lost to Smith, their coach, to Michigan State. But, I think all 3 of those games are games that you're right. I mean, the favorite in those games better be ready to play and better play well, or they could get upset. But my gut instinct right now is that all 3 of the favorites will win. I think that LSU, Oregon, and Notre Dame will find a way.
Well, Gary, I appreciate it, man. You're having a great show, and enjoy it as always.
Hey, by the way, too, I got your app message yesterday. Yeah, I knew Georgia State plays their home games at Turner Field, which is awesome for them. But I'm still puzzled that Vanderbilt's going there to play. But it's it ought
to be fun. It'd be a fun game to go to just for the heck of it.
Yeah. Thank you, Philip.
All right, man. See you.
All right, buddy. That's going to wrap it up for hour number 1 of the Gary Harris Show. Fridays at the Free. I'm live at Innisfree Irish Pub, University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Another hour of the show's coming up. The Cure is going to get us out of here. We're going to start off the second hour with our trivia contest, playing for that Brody Coral print, beautiful full-color size print that we'll give away. We'll have the trivia question. We'll also talk with John Gray, Director of Golf at Old Colony. And so that's how we're going to get the second hour started. So we'll give the trivia question. We'll start qualifying you during the entire segment We'll interview John Gray. And then at the end of the segment, we will shut down the phone lines. However many qualifiers we have, we'll draw at the end of the show for a winner. So stay tuned for that. Plus the Auburn Report with Brett Pritchard at 10:30. More fun on the TGIF edition of the Gary Harris Show. Hour number 2 is coming up.
And qualifying new line for well-qualified customers plus tax and $35 device connection charge. Contact us before canceling entire account to continue remaining bill credits. Bill credits end if you pay off device early. See details at T-Mobile.com.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms are likely today and tonight. The high today 80, tonight's low 67. For tomorrow and Sunday, mostly cloudy, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms both days. Highs between 77 and 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
WTBC Tuscaloosa and W265CG Tuscaloosa, a Town Square media station. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app. From the Fox Sports Studios in Los Angeles, here's Monse Bolaños.
Week 2 of the NFL kicked off with Thursday Night Football as the Bills rolled over the Dolphins in Miami 31-10. Bills running back James Cook had 3 touchdowns in the win. They improved to 2-0 to start the season. Dolphins quarterback Tua Tagovailoa threw 3 interceptions, including a pick 6. He then suffered his 3rd known concussion in the 3rd quarter. According to the NFL Network, head coach Mike McDaniel says the team is moving forward with quarterback Skylar Thompson while Tagovailoa is in concussion protocol. They are also discussing adding another quarterback for depth. In Major League Baseball, the Yankees defeated the Red Sox 2-1 in 10 innings on a Juan Soto RBI single. The Yankees' magic number to clinch a playoff spot is at 6. And the Mariners, they lost to the Rangers 5-4. Seattle falls 4.5 games back of Houston for the top spot in the AL West.
Now, this hour's West Alabama real-time news update from the Tuscaloosa Thread Newsroom. Get 24/7 local news coverage and sports updates when you download the free Tuscaloosa Thread app and sign up for twice daily email newsletters. The Gary Harris Show. UCM host Tider Insider TV, Crimson Tide Kickoff, play-by-play for Alabama sports, and sports director for WVUA 23. It's time for the Gary Harris Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
All right, everybody, here we go. Hour number 2 of the Gary Harris Show, the TGIF edition, getting you ready for another big college football weekend. High school football tonight, we've got it all covered. I'm coming to you live from Innisfree Irish Pub, University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, part of the Fridays at the Free. They're not open yet, but I'm already hanging out. At 11 a.m., they'll open those doors. You need to get in here and get your lucky lunch, meat, and 3. All right, before we get to John Gray, Director of Golf at Old Colony, to talk about the Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic, it's Bama football trivia time, and we'll give the question. You'll call in. If you answer correctly, you'll get qualified, and we'll have our drawing at the end of the show. Here is the question. Alabama plays Wisconsin tomorrow, of course, up in Madison. They played them back in 2015 out in Arlington, Texas at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World, to open the season. Alabama won that game 35-17 over the Badgers. The question is, who was the starting quarterback for the Alabama Crimson Tide when Alabama beat Wisconsin 35-17 September 5th, 2015 out in Arlington, Texas? Who was the starting quarterback? If you remember, you'll have the answer correct, but you'll also know because he started that game, but then it wasn't cut in stone that he was going to be the starter the rest of the season. So interesting little tidbit there. Who was Alabama's starting quarterback the last time the Crimson Tide played Wisconsin back in 2015? Call now, 205-342-9904. 205-342-9904 is the number for the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline. Chase is going to start qualifying you right now, and I am going to visit with John Gray, Director of Golf at Old Colony Golf Club. Good morning, John. How are you?
I'm good, Gary. How are you?
Good to have you on.
Yes, you're pretty good.
Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic. What a big event, and we've had it for several years now. But yesterday the rain hit hard. We needed the rain, but we didn't necessarily need it on for the golf event. Where's everything stand at this point with the Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic out at Old Colony?
Well, play kicked off this morning, and it's on time currently.
And we're hoping that we get the Tuscaloosa split for the weather today, and things stay dry. But yesterday's Pro-Am was kind of washed out after 9 holes. So.
How is the course holding up after all the rain? I assume it. I know it drains well out there. I assume it's probably in really good shape as long as we don't get a ton more rain.
It is in the best shape of the season, and it is very playable. We've had several birdies made already, and we are hoping for many, many more for the weekend.
Yeah, those are fun. So they're playing standard rules today. No lift clean in place.
They are playing a little lift clean in place today because of some wet spots, but it really drained well and dry.
Give us some insight,
dry.
Of course. Yeah, as a sportscaster, I'm familiar with the event. I know a lot of people are, but maybe some aren't. The Epson Tour is the next step before the LPGA Tour. This is the feeder tour. These are professionals. They travel all over the world. This is a huge event because it's near the end of the season, and a certain amount, I think it's maybe the top 15, you can correct me if I'm wrong, John, but a certain number of these players are going to get their LPGA Tour cards, right?
That is correct. You're spot on. Last 2 winners of this event have gone on to make several $100,000 on the LPGA Tour. Celine Bourget, probably the most successful, but they have both done really, really well. And we're hoping for a new winner this year with some more success.
So this is high-level women's professional golf, and as far as spectators are concerned, all they have to do is just come out and enjoy the competition, correct?
Absolutely. Come out and watch. These girls can play. They are impressive. I played Pro-Am yesterday for 8 holes. And, we played with Laura Worm, and she outdrove me all day. I had a 50-yard head start. I got to play a senior team because of my nice young age. It's pretty humbling.
They can knock it. That's
Oh, yeah, she outdrove me one time with a 3-wood. So I hit all the driver I had. And I thought I could still hit it a little bit, but, it's humbling.
Yeah, they can play. Local connections. I know in the past we've had some former UA golfers or and I think it was last year the young lady from Tuscaloosa Academy got to play. Any local connections this year?
Yes, Anna Christian Beaker is playing again for her second start. We have a young lady from Center, Alabama that won the high school state event last year. Her name is Ellie Cothran. She's 18 years old, graduated senior, and then we have a few Alabama players. Kristen is back. LeCarby is back. And Vendetta is also playing this year. She just recently graduated from the from the university in the women's program. So we've got some really good players. There's several from lots of places. My radio's going off, sorry.
That's okay. I know you're working. I won't keep you much longer, and I know that those players with the local ties, of course, Anna Kristen Beaker at TA and the UA players are going to have a good following. I mentioned the fans. It's no charge. I mean, it's free, right? If you want to come out and watch.
Free.
Yeah.
Compliments of Tuscaloosa Toyota, Alabama Credit Union, the city, the county, and the city of Northport have all contributed to that to make it a free event. So we're very, very thankful for those partnerships. You can throw Alabama Power in there and Buffalo Rock as well. So the community has really pulled together, and we've got the golf course in fantastic shape. Greens are rolling about 11 and a half, which with the buried elephants we have on some of them, that's pretty quick. And the girls like them. They're, making lots of birdies.
Yeah, that's what you want. Like you said, you want to see these pros make birdies. That's fun. And, of course, obviously Alabama, this is no coincidence, Alabama is at Wisconsin tomorrow. So, and it's an early game. So, I mean, you could come out in the morning and watch them play, catch the game, and then still come out tomorrow afternoon after the game, and golf will be going on. And, of course, on Sunday, what time are you looking to wrap it up on Sunday if people want to catch the final few groups down the stretch?
Last year, it ended around 2:15. Work presentation was at about 2:45. So come out early on Sunday and watch a lot of golf. Hopefully the weather's going to be fantastic. And we've got a hospitality tent, several stations around the course where you can get a little something to drink and enjoy your afternoon.
And good news, too, in terms of the weather, getting the rain out of here, but temperatures are supposed to be pretty decent, not going to be brutally hot over the weekend. So no excuses not to get out there and support this huge local sporting event, the Tuscaloosa Toyota Classic. Some of the top women's professional golfers in the world right here in Tuscaloosa. If you didn't know about it, you know about it now. And, of course, I'll have some TV coverage. We'll have some TV coverage over the weekend on WVUA 23 as well. John, listen, man, I appreciate you taking time out. I know you're busy, and glad the weather's cooperating, and looking forward to a great weekend.
Thank you, Gary. Always appreciate it.
All right, John Gray. You too. Thank you, sir. John Gray, Director of Golf at Old Colony. All right, we're going to keep the phone lines open for qualifiers for a few more minutes. Chase is qualifying people. And then when we go to the break, which I'm going to keep them open for probably about 4 more minutes. Go to the break about 10:15. Then we're going to shut the phone lines down because obviously Chase has to be ready to run the break and get back in the rhythm. But in case you're just tuning in, our Bama football trivia contest is going on right now. Chase is back there at the control room in the studio qualifying people. Our question was, of course, Alabama plays Wisconsin tomorrow up in Madison. Back in 2015, Alabama opened the season with Wisconsin out in Arlington, Texas. Alabama won that game rather easily, actually, and wound up, winning the national championship in 2015. They won that game 35-17. My question is, because we weren't sure who would be the starting quarterback, to be honest with you, going into that game, who was the starting quarterback for Alabama when the Crimson Tide beat Wisconsin 35-17 on September 5, 2015 out at AT&T Stadium, Jerry World in Arlington, Texas. We'll keep qualifying, folks. I think last week we had 21 qualifiers, and we gave away the print of the Gravedigger with Jalen Milroe and Isaiah Bond, who, of course, now is at Texas. This week we're giving away a beautiful color signed Brody Croyle print that is ready for framing, former Crimson Tide quarterback back in the early 2000s. And I've got it out in my car. I'm not looking at it. And I picked it up yesterday from Tom over at T-Town Menswear. I think it's against Florida is the print for Brody in 2005. But it's beautiful. I can tell you that. And we'll keep qualifying folks. All right. Thoughts on some games here. I'm going to do my SEC point spread predictions coming up in the final segment today, but I'm still working on them because, after going 3-6-1 last week, after 8-1 to open the season against the point spread in the SEC, there are some games this week that I am scratching my head on. And I don't mind telling you that I'm still 6 games that I'm still working on, still trying to get a good vibe for. And but that's why, like I said, I do this for entertainment purposes only. If I were a gambler on college football, I'd probably pull my hair out. I don't know how you you handle the stress. I mean, it's stressful for me just picking them for fun. But like last week, for instance, I had Arkansas +8, and they didn't lose, but they didn't cover, which was a crying shame because for the most part they dominated that game against Oklahoma State, should have won it in regulation, and then they get into overtime, and the only way that they can lose or not cover is for it to go to double overtime because then you have to have the 2-point conversion. So both teams, interestingly enough, missed field goals in the first overtime. Arkansas missed one, and then Oklahoma State has a really good kicker, misses one. To be honest with you, I wouldn't mind minded seeing Oklahoma State make the field goal, because then they would have won by 3 and Arkansas would have covered. But he didn't. So they go to double overtime. You have to go for 2. Oklahoma State scores a touchdown and goes for 2 and, of course, makes it. So they're up 8. So Arkansas has 4th and 1 at the 5. Even if they score a touchdown and don't make the 2-point conversion, they lose the game, but they still cover. Worst case scenario. They've run the ball well all day. They've got well over 600 yards of offense. 4th and 1, they get stoned. I mean, dropped for a loss. Ball game's over. They lose by 8. They don't cover. Now, some people had them at 8.5 or 9 or 9.5, and they had a cover. But if you had them at 8, then you did not cover. And that's just an example of how stressful these point spread predictions can be. All right, we are going to shut it down. Go ahead, Chase, and lock it down, and let's go ahead and get to the break. And when we come back on the other side, we're open for phone calls. We'll shut down the prize line, and we'll see how many qualifiers we have. And later on in the show, we will give you the trivia answer, and we'll draw for a winner. Coming to you live from Innisfree Irish Pub. And they open at 11, so as soon as those doors are open, you got to get in here and try that Lucky Lunch Meat and 3. You will.
Plus, don't miss our grand opening celebration Friday, October the 11th through Sunday, October 13th. And check us out at academy.com with free shipping on purchases over $25.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms are likely today and tonight. The high today 80, tonight's low 67. For tomorrow and Sunday, mostly cloudy, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms both days. Highs between 77 and 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Find Tide on Twitter at Tide109 to keep up with show announcements, guests, and our reporters in the field.
All right, welcome back into the Gary Harris Show live from Innisfree Irish Pub. It's 10:19 here on the program, and getting ready to open up the doors at Innisfree at 11 a.m. and ready for that Lucky Lunch Meat and 3, plus full menu, full bar. Everything will be ready to go at 11 a.m. this morning. I'm going to stay around and have lunch myself. And we ran the contest in the last segment. We're shutting down the phone lines. Hang on, I got one more qualifier for you, Chase, that hang on just a second. Yeah, let me send that to you, because people will text me or send me a social media message, and if they can't get through on the phone lines, and I'll go ahead and get them qualified. So I just sent Chase a couple of qualifiers as well. So Chase, join me here, and I know it was a little bit hectic, but tell me how many, counting the people that qualified through my social media, how many qualifiers do we have total?
We had 15.
Okay, 15 qualifiers. So the trivia question was, who was the starting quarterback for Alabama when the Crimson Tide beat Wisconsin out at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas in September of 2015, September 5th. And we'll have the answer, and we'll draw for the winner at the end of the show. Like I said, we've got 15 qualifiers, so the way we'll do it is just like we do every week. Chase will get that electronic drawing machine or roulette wheel, and we'll have every winner has a number attached to their name, or every qualifier does, obviously. If you're the 15th qualifier, you're 15. If you're the first, you're 1. And when he rolls the wheel, and if it lands on 7, whoever is the 7th qualifier will be the winner. And that's how we do it. So it's very fair. There's no bias involved, and it's a good way to do it. So that's coming up, though, at the end of the show. So next segment, we got Brett Pritchard with the Auburn Report. Curious to talk to Brett about what happened with Auburn last week against Cal. In the meantime, phone lines are open on the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline, 205-342-9904. And you girls, don't worry about making any noise. Y'all got to get ready. I understand that. Don't have to worry about being quiet. They're setting up to open up here. So y'all go ahead and do what you need to do, because I know y'all take forever. Y'all try to be too quiet they're getting ready to open the doors here at 11 a.m. and they're doing all they can do to be quiet while they're putting the chairs up, which I appreciate. But they got to get ready to open up for business here. So if you hear a little knocking in the background, they're just setting up to go to work. All right, let's get back to Alabama football because people have been picking my brain all week, obviously with what I think about the game. And, I've already picked the score, so I don't mind telling you. I'm picking Alabama to cover. I picked them on Tuesday night on Tider Insider TV, 35-14. So I got Bama winning by 21. 21, though, is not necessarily a blowout. I mean, I think that, going into third quarter, this is probably going to be a one-score game. And it might be a one-score game, midway through the third quarter. But I do think that Alabama is going to wind up, putting this game away in the fourth quarter. That's what they had to do last week against South Florida. I think they'll be able to do it again. I don't think that this is going to be a game where they come out and they just jump all over Wisconsin. I'd love to see it. But, again, on the road for the first time this season in an environment that is going to be jacked. Let's be clear on this. Hey, Chase, do me a favor, in fact, because I ran some of it on TV last night. Pull that Luke Fickell press conference back up real quickly, and because within the first couple of minutes he talked about the game from last week. Then he talked about how important this game is, and that when he took the job at Wisconsin, one of the first things they mentioned to him was, "Hey, we play Alabama in 2024. He hadn't even, looked at the roster or anything like that. He just accepted the job. They let him know that Alabama was coming to Camp Randall to play. So, Chase, let me know when you get that pulled up. And it's just his press conference from this week, earlier in the week, and we'll just run it from the top because he gets into that fairly quickly. So, we'll take Luke Fickell here in a moment because I want you to hear what he said about the Alabama game and how important it is to these people at Wisconsin and how much they're going to be putting into their efforts to be hostile toward Alabama. And I mean that in a good way. I mean, they're going to be loud, and they're going to try to make it difficult for the Crimson Tide. Chase, you got that ready?
Yes, I do.
All right, here's Luke Fickell. This is his press conference. His opening statement's going to be a little bit about their game against South Dakota, but pretty quickly on, he'll get into what the Alabama game means.
Well, I think just to recap-wise of last week, very similar to what I said after the game. I thought it was obviously a hard-fought game, but after watching, I do feel better about a lot of things. And defensively in particular, we played better than I actually thought. One series in the start of the second half was probably the one thing that jumps out. And then offensively, just efficiency. I think very efficient, created some big plays in the first half. Second half, I don't know. We weren't quite as efficient. We didn't create some big plays. I'm not saying we changed modes a little bit, but there were a lot of really good things to grow upon. And then actually, the last 6 minutes of the game got a lot of those other guys in the ball game, even though, it was still a ball game. But you got those young freshman running backs, got some of those young offensive linemen in the game to take some really good reps in some situations where we still needed to move the ball and get some first downs and continue to run the clock. So as we move past that, we all know it's a big week, and this is something that was told to me, I think, the day after I took the job. Not that I was looking at that in particular as the whole thing happened, but over a year and a half ago, this was something that was brought up, and not something I spent a whole lot of time thinking about until now. And so this is a great opportunity, and I think our guys are extremely excited. As we went into fall camp, these were the things that were in front of us, and we knew that. This is kind of the start. Not that the first two games weren't the start of the season, but we knew that this was going to be the opportunity and the point in time when we really, really get to see where we are and who we are. And so that challenge is in front of us, and I think we're really excited about it.
Luke, you kind of talked about the players and this being a special week. Some coaches have the philosophy of, hey, every game's the same. Do you like the idea that your guys feel like, hey, this is a unique type special opportunity?
I mean, us as coaches like to try to say, hey, it was a routine. We do everything the same way, no matter what it is, the faceless, nameless opponent. The realities of those things is probably not true. Some of us can hide our heads and live under a rock like I do, but our guys understand. Our guys are much more aware. And so this was something that had been talked about since spring football, and not by me. I'm not like standing up there and say, hey, this is Alabama week in spring ball, and we're going to do this. And we work on the rivalry weeks. We talk about the teams that we play historically. We don't talk about some of these games, but our guys are all aware of it. And so for them, it's been something that, just like me, it's been in the back of their heads, probably a little bit closer to the front of their heads too often. But it's something where I think they really do understand. Like, this is what makes college football, right? There's two things. College football is great, but rivalries and games like this is what really kind of separates college football from everything else.
Luke, you talked about the efficiency of the offense. In the red zone in particular, the passing game just hasn't quite clicked. As you look through it, I know every play is its own situation, but has there been a through line or something you can identify like this? There's
twofold. I mean, I think that, negative yardage plays in the red zone are really, they're a lot bigger than they are out in the middle of the field. And then the ability to kind of say, let it rip, and be a little bit more aggressive. And so there's a balance there. But I do think, Tyler, in some of those situations, there's some things where as we go back and watch, that we can be more aggressive on. But I think so those twofold, being more aggressive, and then obviously you got to avoid the negative yardage plays. Everybody knows things get tighter down there.
Back from Luke Fickell, who we got that in there about Alabama, and it's a big game for Wisconsin. It's a big game for Alabama too, and that's what makes college football great. Yes, conference games are terrific, but when you have one of these intersectional matchups, SEC versus Big Ten, it's you get a vibe. And Fox Big Noon Sports will be there with their pregame show. Mark Ingram's a part of that, former Alabama Heisman Trophy winning running back. And then the game at 11 a.m. tomorrow. All right, it's 10:28 here on the Gary Harris Show, and everything's in place now for lunch here at Innisfree. They've got the tables with the chairs ready to go. They're going to open up at 11 a.m. All right, we're going to be back with
changes within just a couple of days.
Text support to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
You see him on WVUA 23 covering sports, and on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights. Don't miss a minute of the Gary Harris Show. Weekdays from 9 to 11 on Tide 100.9.
All right, 10:31. Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show. I'm live at Innisfree Irish Pub. They're opening at 11 a.m. for lunch. And, of course, tomorrow they're going to have the game on, ready to go for Alabama and Wisconsin, and then all the college football games at Innisfree Irish Pub on University Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Let's jump out of the Pinnacle Park at North River Hotline and welcome my pal Brett Pritchard from the Auburn Blitz for the Auburn Report. Good morning, Brett. How are you?
Well, I'm good, Gary. You okay?
Yes, sir. Ready to roll for another weekend. And I know you and I, of course, getting ready for high school football tonight, and hopefully the weather is going to be good for us. Let's jump into Auburn last week when you and I did this segment. I don't think either one of us expected the outcome that we had, but that's why they play the games. And, Cal, after giving Auburn a really good game last year out there in Berkeley, came into Jordan-Hare last Saturday and got a 21-14 victory. What happened?
Yeah, good question. That's a loaded question right there. I think, I'll be the first to say, Gary, I missed this show last. I told everybody that all week. I haven't missed a prediction like that in years, one that far off. Because I truly thought, even though it was Alabama A&M, I just felt like the way Auburn executed looked like they were in sync, and the way they performed, they would come back and build on that performance. And it's a Cal team that beat UC Davis 31-13. UC Davis ended up having more yards than them. They turned the ball over a bunch. I felt like with Cal coming to Auburn, that they would, Auburn, it would be a filling out process early, maybe run the football to establish the line of scrimmage, and then open up, the passing game, because they did have an experienced secondary. Probably one of the more experienced secondaries that Auburn play all year. But to have a good game plan to loosen that up, and it was dead opposite of that. I mean, Auburn was able to score early, but outside of that drive early, they just could not sustain drives. And if it was penalties or bad decisions, or turnovers or whatever, I thought Auburn made a major error in not running the football, not using Jarquez Hunter to really be the workhorse in this game, and then throw it a little bit later on in the game. But really opposite of what Hugh Freeze has always preached. He said he wants to be a 60-40 run-heavy offense, and it was anything but that. Jarquez Hunter only touched the ball 12 times, but, he averaged 5.7 yards a carry. So I thought Auburn maybe missed an opportunity there, maybe to get something going. But just the turnovers and mistakes, and again, we go back to the quarterback position, and we're in limbo again. Peyton Thorne, in his 5th year in college, that's not a performance that you would have expected from somebody that's played as long as him. And, so it's back to the drawing board, and I think he will start the game Saturday, but I definitely think you're going to see a lot of St. Brown football game.
Yeah, Coach Freeze put so much confidence in Peyton Thorne. First of all, not going into the portal to get a quarterback, and then saying all summer and fall camp that, he's our guy and he's ready, and there's a reason he's going to be our starter, and the reason that we didn't go get a quarterback. And you're right. For Auburn fans, now, granted, it's one game, and you and I know how this works. You take care of business tomorrow, then you beat Arkansas and Oklahoma to go 4-1 and 2-0 in the SEC, and everybody's going to have a completely different mindset. But that was a performance that people did not expect to see. And now the doubts are raised. You mentioned Hank Brown maybe getting time. Do you foresee at some point, if it doesn't go well, that there could be a quarterback switch ultimately?
I absolutely think you can. And Gary, I think one of the things that I heard what Hugh Freeze said all week, and I get it. And, Derek Nix and him and the whole, Ken Austin, they all make the decision to put the best guy out there that they see in practice day in and day out. But you and I wouldn't know that doesn't necessarily translate into games. And look, I know 3 years ago, Peyton Thorne had a phenomenal year at Michigan State, 11-1, broke records, 3,400 yards passed, 30-something touchdowns. But where has that been the last couple of years? And, somebody said on our show this week, well, it's just game 2. I said, well, no, it's really game 15. Because, he played in most every game last year. It didn't start most every game. And then now going into that game would have been his 14th football game. You got to be further ahead than that. And to me, he looked like a guy that just arrived on campus. And, again, I'm not trying to take shots at Peyton Thorne, but it is what it is at this point. And, I know the interceptions, every one of them were not his fault, but there were a couple that were horrendous decisions. And he had guys running open on a lot of passing plays where he didn't throw the football, and he didn't throw it in a timely manner. And that was a big problem last year was, getting the ball to the spot on the field where a receiver can go make a play. So, I don't think you ever say we're not going to make a change. I think the Nick, we talked about this Nick Saban last year, sending the message to Jalen Milroe. Went to South Florida, said, look, you're not playing in this game. We're going to show everybody who's behind you, and we're going to see if anybody can step up behind you, or we're going to send a message to you that you need to kind of step it up, be our quarterback. And we all know what happened. Jalen Milroe stepped up and was a great quarterback. So one of two things is going to happen, I think, Saturday. You're going to find out if Peyton Thorne will take charge and maybe step up, or Peyton Brown becomes that gamer quarterback that comes in and lights the field on fire and maybe never looks back.
Brett, tomorrow, we know what happened with New Mexico State last year, so you don't ever count your chickens before they hatch in college football. Having said that, New Mexico is in transition. Bronco Mendenhall is a proven head coach. He's been there before as a defensive coordinator, but they're not good. So you would think that tomorrow, before you get Arkansas and Oklahoma, would be a confidence builder. I feel funny saying that after, this early in the year, but, after last week, I guess it's important to get some confidence back for that offense, right?
got to find confidence. No, you're right, and you don't count chickens before they hatch for sure. We've learned that the hard way at Auburn multiple times, and right now Hugh Freeze, and we talked about this stat, Gary, when Auburn's a 28-point favorite in this game, but out of the last 18 football games as head coach for Hugh Freeze, dating back to his time at Liberty, he's been a double-digit favorite 9 times. He's lost 5 of those games outright.
Lord.
So you look at that stat. That's a stat that's concerning. And Cal had this past Saturday, New Mexico State at the end of last year. New Mexico State prior to that, Liberty, Virginia Tech, Connecticut. These are 5 games that you were a double-digit favorite to win the game, and you lost them outright. So I don't know what it is about these kind of games. Hugh Freeze will get your team up to play, the best in the country all season. So Auburn, again, I think that's what I was more hoping for last week, is that we would handle business. That we were a 11-point favorite over Cal at home, 2:30, coming off a very dominating performance over a lesser-than team, but a very dominating performance. Looked like everybody in the team took 2 or 3 steps backwards from the defensive performance. I thought defense settled in and gave Auburn a chance to win, but they gave up a couple of big plays in the game, and frankly, the offense put them in bad situations, so you can't really look at that. But I was just more disappointed in the regression more than anything.
Right, when you look at the schedule, we talked a lot, you and I did on this segment, about the 5 straight games at home to start the season, and the chance to get to 5-0, be 2-0 in the SEC, and then obviously in October you get a bye, but you also play 3 road games in the SEC. Now all of a sudden there's just more pressure because you've dropped the non-conference game at home. You and I say this a lot. It's for some schools, there's so much hype into the season. 5-6 games in can be done for as far as big picture. Are these Arkansas and Oklahoma games must-wins now?
When you drop a Cal game, I'm going to say yes. Because, you're sitting here and we were trying to find a path to 8-9 victories for Auburn this year. And in that path to 8-9 victories was a Cal win. Well, now you can't count that. You got New Mexico coming in, and then you got Arkansas, who looks a lot better than they did last year. But this is an Arkansas team that Auburn has drummed the last several years. And Auburn went to Fayetteville last year like a lot of people and went up there and really just ran them out of their stadium. I don't know that that's going to happen this year unless we see some drastic change with this offense. Again, I know it was just that one game. And so we don't really know who Auburn is right now. We can't really tell anything off Alabama A&M. And I'm not sure that, for whatever reason, Auburn just didn't together and turnovers and all that kind of stuff affects the outcome of this game. So how is Auburn going to play against a team that they're 28-point favorites over again this week? Well, we'll see. There's going to be a lot to be told in this game. Or, are they going to make a mistake early and everybody's going to go, oh, well, here we go again. We're going to be in a dogfight. I think Auburn needs to come out and win this game convincingly and build some confidence back up with Arkansas coming in, because they're not going to be an easy football team. I think in this league this year, you don't know what you're going to get from week to week. You saw South Carolina just drum Kentucky, and I didn't see that coming either.
Brett, you look at Auburn right now under Hugh Freeze, and granted, Brian Harson's still spending Auburn's money, but he has not been bashful about doing some troll jobs, and it's been pointed out. Facts are facts. Brian Harsin was 8-7 after 15 games at Auburn, and Hugh Freeze is 7-8. Has some of the luster come off Hugh Freeze already?
Yeah, I don't like to go down the road of every 6 months talk about a coaching change is what it feels like. And I know Alabama went through it prior to Nick Saban getting there, but at some point in time, the proof's in the pudding, and you got to start seeing. And I see the difference. I see the progress in recruiting. I do.
Right.
I think Auburn is making tremendous. That's the difference in Freeze and Brian Harsin. And again,
right.
I'm going to say this. Bruce Pearl inherited maybe the worst basketball program in the conference, save maybe a couple. And it took him 4 years to get Auburn back, not back, but to a level where they're starting to say, hey, we're going to be a program to be dealt with. And Hugh Freeze, I think, inherited such a tumultuous program from the end of Malzahn to Brian Harsin that more damage was done than people realized, and how far this roster was off. And again, it doesn't excuse poor play in a game, but he is trying to put a roster together that can compete at the highest level in this conference, and we're not there yet. I mean, we're still building recruits, and again, the difference in him and Brian Harsin is you saw no hope with his recruiting. You see a tremendous amount of hope with Hugh Freeze's recruiting. Auburn's just got to get the play on the field figured out. They've got to be consistent, because right now, as a program, again, this is a carryover from previous coaching staffs and mentality and culture, is you don't know what you're going to get with Auburn from one week to the next. You just don't.
Mm-hmm. All right, man. Well, I think you and I both feel, of course, we felt this way last week. I do think we feel like that Auburn will get a victory tomorrow. Will they cover the 28, in your opinion?
Well, let's hope. I mean, this is a team that has scored over the game. I know, they gave Arizona fits for a while. So if Auburn comes out flat and they're not ready to play, I mean, it could be in the offside. So I would like to say they covered the 28, but I'm not sure with this offense until I see more, Gary, that I'm confident saying Auburn can cover a 28-point spread even against New Mexico. I say they win the game, but I think it's probably more like 31-10 or something like that.
All right, my friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Appreciate you, buddy.
All right, it is 10:45, and we got one final segment to go. And in that segment, we are going to get my SEC point spread predictions, which I'm still working on. I may get some help from Wyatt. Also, we'll have our trivia contest answer, and we'll draw for the winner. We got 15 qualifiers. We'll do that. And then we'll be opening the doors at 11 a.m. Wyatt will be going live.
Visit us at 3537 Skyland Boulevard East or online at bmwoftuscaloosa.com. BMW of Tuscaloosa. Take your dreams for a drive.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
Mostly cloudy. A few showers and thunderstorms are likely today and tonight. The high today 80, tonight's low 67. For tomorrow and Sunday, mostly cloudy, scattered to numerous showers and thunderstorms both days. Highs between 77 and 80. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9.
Alabama Crimson Tide lives right here.
Down to the pylon. Touchdown, Alabama.
On Tide 100.9.
Welcome back into the Gary Harris Show, live from Innisfree Irish Pub. We're winding it down, but before we do, we've got some more work to do here on the show, including my SEC point spread predictions. All right, we know my first week in the SEC against the spread, I went 8-1. Did a victory lap. Made sure everybody knew about it. Why wouldn't you? And then last week, humble pie served up 3-6-1. And as bad as the 6 losses were, I think that push with Arkansas bothered me more than anything, because there's no way they should have not covered that 8. But they didn't. But you bounce back, and again, I do this for entertainment purposes only. I don't want, I had a couple of people, and you know how it is, Wyatt. I mean, it's just is what it is. A couple of people came after me on social media. Well, I took your point. That's your problem. One guy said, he bet on every one of my games. And I said, well, that's why I say it's for entertainment purposes only. I don't bet on football. Like I said, I get stressed just picking the games without any money on them. So keep that in mind. I just do this for fun. But hopefully I'll have a good week. All right, let's get it started. Alabama, and by the way, Chase, let me know, because I got my phone on charge and it's not on me right now, and I don't see a clock. So keep me abreast of the time so we get out on time for Wyatt. But let's start it off. Alabama at Wisconsin. Bama minus 16. I've already said, since I make my pick on Tider Insider TV on Tuesday nights, I've got Bama covering here 35-14. So I got the Tide covering the 16, and Wyatt's got some really interesting stats coming up on his show about Wisconsin when they're a double-digit underdog at home. But I got Bama laying the 16 and covering that 35-14. I think the Crimson Tide, last week, say what you want, was ugly for a good portion of the game, but they still scored 42 points. And this offense is explosive. We've seen that. And if you get those two explosive plays back with Haynes touchdown and then obviously the Milrose 75-yard touchdown, you don't have penalties on those plays, that's probably a different game. So I think Alabama's going to get into the 30s. I think Wisconsin is going to try to shorten the game, but they're not very explosive at all. Van Dyke is still trying to kind of feel his way out at quarterback. I like Alabama to win here and cover. All right, LSU at South Carolina. This is a tough one. Carolina is catching 7 at home. They looked horrible at home against Old Dominion, barely won, and then went to Lexington last week and blew out Kentucky. I'm beginning to think Vandergriff, a quarterback for Kentucky, is awful, though. LSU's got too much talent, right, guys? Too much talent not to cover 7. Let me tell you how this works. Yeah, the odds makers are trying to set a line to get an equal amount of play on each side. Had we not seen the Kentucky game last week, let's just say that South Carolina had played another nobody, this line would probably be about 13. Preseason, I didn't see the line, but if this, after the Old Dominion game, this would probably be LSU laying 14. So I think you're getting value here. I think LSU, pressure's on Brian Kelly. I think they win and cover here by the 7. Boston College at Mizzou. This is a tough one because I think Missouri is good, but Boston College is going to shorten the game. Bill O'Brien is doing a really good job with that team. They can run the football. They're catching 16.5. I'm going to take Boston College plus the 16.5. I think Missouri will win the game, but I'm going to take the points. Texas A&M at Florida. Okay, and this is the one I always have one game where I say I'm going to regret this. I'm going to slap myself for this. This makes no sense that I'm taking Florida. But I'm going to take Florida plus the 3. I just think Billy Napier, this is probably his last year. I said that before the season started. I don't think he's going to make it, but I don't think this is going to be the game that decides his fate. And, A&M lost at home to Notre Dame, okay? So it's not like they're a juggernaut. I like Mike Elko as a coach, but Florida catching 3 here at home, I'll probably regret it. Tulane at Oklahoma. Oklahoma's laying 14.5. They were not good last week on offense. Particularly. I think that Tulane's a good team. I know Willie Fritz has moved on to Houston, and Houston gave Oklahoma fits, but Tulane's still got a lot of good players. I'm going to take the 14.5 here. UAB at Arkansas. Arkansas minus 21. If I had a quote-unquote lock, this would be it. I think Arkansas is going to run UAB. That was an embarrassing performance at UL Monroe last week. Embarrassing. As a double-digit road favorite, they got run out of the stadium. I think Arkansas is mad. I don't think Sam Pittman's a great coach. I think they're going to clock UAB. Ole Miss at Wake. Ole Miss on the road laying 22.5. That looks funny, SEC versus ACC, but Ole Miss is on a mission. And what time you got, by the way? Okay, I got to get going here. All right, Ole Miss at Wake Forest. Lane Kiffin's another one of these guys. They're trying to make a statement nationally, much like Josh Heupel in Tennessee. On the road, it looks a little strange in the ACC for an SEC team to be laying 22.5. Ole Miss covers. Texas versus UTSA. Don't dismiss UTSA. University of Texas San Antonio is a pretty good team, but Texas is, there's going to be no hangover. They're in Austin. I'm laying the 33 here, and I'm taking Texas. Vandy at Georgia State. I still haven't figured out why Vandy's going to Atlanta to play Georgia State at Turner Field, but they are. I think Vandy's a better team, and I think that they're going to be pretty good this year. Don't know what they're going to do in the SEC, but they're going to cover the 9.5. Auburn at home against New Mexico. This is another one of those I'll probably slap myself on. Watching Auburn last week, can they even score 28? Yeah, they can against. This is New Mexico's in disarray. Bronco Mendenhall trying to get it going. I'll take the 28 here. I think Auburn bounces back and covers. Georgia at Kentucky. Everybody's saying, well, Kentucky's not going to play that bad. Well, they're playing a better team. Vandergriff, the former Georgia quarterback, was miserable last week. Georgia, I'll lay the 21 over 4 quarters. I think they covered that. Mississippi State at home against Toledo. Toledo's not bad. Mississippi State laying 9, but I think the Bulldogs get it done and they cover. And Tennessee's that team, much like Ole Miss. They're trying to make a statement, laying 47.5 against Kent State, Nick Saban's alma mater. That probably gives them even more incentive to cover. I'll take Tennessee minus 47.5. So those are my picks. All right, our trivia question was, Who was the starting quarterback for Alabama in 2015 against Wisconsin out at AT&T Stadium in Arlington? The answer was Jake Coker. Remember, he didn't start the Ole Miss game. Alabama lost, but he started that one, and then after Ole Miss started the rest of them. We had 15 qualifiers. Chase, you ready to pick us a winner?
I am ready to do it.
Or draw it, or hit the wheel, or whatever it is that you do. There we go. There's the roulette wheel. What number will it land on?
We're
going to find out.
Number 12. 12.
Who is number 12?
That is Michelle. Michelle is number 12.
That was one of my qualifiers, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, then you don't have to send me the number because I got it. All right, Michelle, congratulations. You are going to win that Brody Coral beautiful signed print, the great Alabama quarterback from the early 2000s. I got it in my car, but I picked it up yesterday. It's rolled up, so I haven't looked at it. I think it's against Florida, but it is signed. It's ready for framing. It's huge. Congratulations to Michelle. All right, that is going to wrap it up for the show. Yep, right on time. We're staying right here at Industry Irish Pub, though. Wyatt's right next to me. He's going to throw the headset on. Fridays at the Free continues with T-Town Sports Daily. They're opening the doors in 3 minutes. Get on by, have this lucky lunch. You're going to love it. I'm staying to have lunch. Listen to Wyatt. He's going to have this interesting research that he's done on Wisconsin as a home dog of double digits and why you should feel good if you're Alabama, right? He'll have all those details coming up. Hey, catch me on TV tonight with your local sports on WVUA 23, and then Football Friday tonight at 10:30 from 10:30 to 11:30. All your high school football scores and highlights, plus college football analysis, preview Alabama, Wisconsin, and more. So I got a busy day ahead of me, but looking forward to it. All right, I want to thank all of our great sponsors that made this show possible. And again, come on out to Industry for lunch. T-Town Sports Daily is coming up next. Have a great weekend, everybody.